And we're back. Okay, so continuing with the Nightmare movies, we move on to Nightmare on Elm Street 4, which I think is called Dream Masters, right? Yeah, and like with 2, I'm a little bit torn with this one because there's definitely good stuff and then there's also bad stuff because right at the start, having 2 of the 3 survivors from the previous movie die after they make the same mistakes that most of their friends made in the previous movie. Really? That's like a big slap of the face to them, it seems. In my mind, I just did not really like that. And then there's the idea of Christian's actor, there's the change. That kind of offset the character. Now, to be fair, the character does go through a personality change, so it is possible to work around it, but I feel like it was too much of a change. And then the passing of the torch that happened in this movie. Now, in the third movie, they did it fairly gradually, and it could have happened to anybody in that movie, I feel. So that was a proper way to handle the passing of the torch, but in this movie, Alice all of a sudden appearing in Christian's dream, or however she got there, Kristen suddenly getting killed, and then magically hurling her own power that she had in the third movie over into Alice. Just, I don't really buy that. I mean, like, I think that there were some hints in the third movie that there might be a little bit more to her power than was shown, but that didn't suit well with me when I saw it. Just how the torch got passed here. I didn't really like that. And then, like with the second movie, I felt like if we had a novelization for this movie, I'd be able to get into characters' heads a little bit better. And yeah, it was annoying that I kept feeling that way. And then like there was this one character's death in the movie. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, Rick. Yeah, like his death. It's a different kind of death, but at the same time, I just didn't like that scene. Now, how could you have fixed it? I honestly can't remember what I was thinking when I saw the movie, but that didn't really suit with me. And then this is, I think, the start where Freddy's comedic values began to start a little bit, if I remember correctly. Now, to be fair, okay, he did change his style enough in here that it was still, whoa, shocking and that kind of thing, so I wasn't too bothered by that in this movie, but I feel like it still should be mentioned a little bit. And then, the odd thing about Alice going through a little bit of a loop as she's trying to help Dean, just how does that work? Now, to be fair, there are people out there who probably do get the mythology of these movies a lot more than I do, okay? And keep in mind, other than the first 3 and one of the others, I've only seen all these movies once, so I'm by no means a Nightmare on Elm Street expert, okay? Because I know tons of people saw these movies when they were kids, they grew up on them, and all that stuff. So if you want to try and explain it for me, I got no problem with that, okay? Trust me. Other than Survivor, I do not want to call myself an expert on anything I talk about on this channel, okay? Right. So that's that, but still, this did carry all the strengths from the third one, I think, pretty well, having multiple characters on a mostly even playing field in here, because it's clear that Alice is meant to be the final girl. Very creative, just that go, ooh, and just a couple of other good moments like that. This made this, I think, a fairly worthy successor to the fourth one, although I don't think I like this one as much as the third one. Yeah, so okay, probably I'm gonna go for critique and then between 3 and 4 personal. But it's not that much different from the third one, as I mentioned. I just prefer the third one to this, yeah. Now, moving on to the fifth one, Dream Child. So going into this one, I got the idea that I probably wouldn't like this, but unlike the sixth one, I don't know really why I was thinking that. So, I'm just like, that I'm not feeling I'm gonna like this one, but let's put it on and see what happens. But I actually found out that I did like this one, even though I'm sure that if I pry into it, I could find more things to dislike about it than I'm describing here. But when this movie started and we get introduced to the characters in here, I actually didn't feel like we needed a novelization to help identify with these characters more, and that was the first time that thought hadn't crossed my mind, period, for this entire series, so that was a pleasant surprise, and I actually found this movie pretty easy to sit through. I don't know why. Just something in my mind, I guess, just clicked with it, and I was able to just barrel through this one, no problem. Which, again, was a pleasant surprise. And some of the death scenes, even though they are kind of over the top, and then, the whole sucked into the dream world bit, again, also went over the top, nonetheless, I found myself enjoying it. I really don't know why. Just something in me just clicked with this. Seeing Alice struggle against Freddy again, seeing Freddy go through the business of trying to birth himself and hurt Alice in different ways. Creative and intense ending. A couple of twists I didn't see coming, yeah. But, again, Freddy's mother. Not the greatest addition in my mind, yeah. I don't remember exactly what made me annoyed with her, because I think I was less annoyed with her in this movie than I was in the third one, but just... I don't know, I guess that's just something I'm going to be complaining about unless I rewatch those and find that I don't have any problems with them the second time around with her character, yeah. And, I think there was a little bit that was going through my mind about exactly how can Freddy fully say that he can take control of Alice's child and he's a dream entity. Now I feel like this is a more plausible explanation for how he might exert some real world control compared to what was going on in Freddy's Revenge, but yeah. Again, if I had talked about these movies just after I reviewed them, I'm sure I could elaborate a little bit more, but I thought I wouldn't like the movie, turns out I did. Definitely like this one more than the fourth, so I'll probably go 4 out of 5, but I think with this movie, if I rewatch it, I'm going to like it less the second time around. I've just got that feeling, yeah. Moving on to, Freddy's Dead. Now, this one, I did get the idea that a lot of people dislike this and that I probably wouldn't. And when I was watching it, I was able to pick up a whole bunch of problems because here, Freddy's comedic value to his scary value is just off the chart. He's 3/4 comedic stuff and 1/4 horrific stuff. Now, to be fair, okay, I was laughing, okay? Robert Englund was good in here, and even though he's portraying the character differently than he's portraying him before, he actually made it work. He really did, but it's the accompanying stuff that makes it stand out, and comparing to what he did before and after, it definitely hurts the idea of Freddy a little bit. And then how we go from Alice to, what's this kid's face in here? John, I think? I really cannot remember his name. Just how did this happen? Because this movie seems to illustrate that Freddy is being entirely different than he was in the previous movies. How he wants to, repopulate himself to take over every Elm Street or Smallville, whatever the term is that he wasn't talking about in here. I honestly can't remember. And then how he started antagonizing this guy, especially when his connection to Freddy isn't really all that great, with not as much direct involvement. And then, what happened to Alice? What, she defeats you twice and you're not gonna go back about her, huh? Just like, what happened to that? Because, like, they call this the sixth one, and yet the continuing story just runs into a whole bunch of problems. That really affected me, and you can't help but feel like this movie is definitely different, because this is more of a mystery movie than the others. Now, I think you can argue that the seventh movie is a mystery movie, but at the same time, there's enough horror in there that lowers the mystery value enough, because let's be realistic, there isn't that much mystery to it. Yeah, sure, but I cannot really deal with that. And then the whole idea of trying to incorporate like 3D into a movie, well, this is before I think 3D actually took off, and even then there's people who say that it's not being done properly all the time, so don't know if I really get that. And just the idea that this is how you can defeat Freddy once and for all, given how these characters don't really have much of a relation with Freddy, just didn't suit well with me, in my opinion, yeah. Now, that's not to say that there weren't a couple of things that I liked. I was laughing at this, and I'm glad that they did the idea, with the brain on drugs bit. Now I know where all the critiques of that commercial came from, because it got personified with Freddy. And even though I didn't totally like the characters in here, I did find it interesting to learn about them, what we did, and I don't really feel like we need a novelization for this movie, unlike the others that I've mentioned, that idea. But it's not as good, although I do think it's better than a couple of the other ones that I've seen, because I gladly watch this over half of the Friday the 13th movies at least, any day of the week. Trust me, okay? This was much easier to get through than those movies. Oh, boy. Yeah. So, oh yeah, wait a minute. I don't think I rated the fifth one. It's better than the fourth one, but worse than the third. Let's leave it at that, given how I got a little complicated with my rating for the fourth one. And then this movie, that's tough. I definitely had a better idea of this when I finished that. Well, clearly the only one that is in competition with is Freddy's Revenge here, so let's just say 3 for right now, and I call it at that. I gotta rewatch it to get a better opinion of that, sorry. Approaching the 13-minute mark. You know what? I'm gonna make another part.